Welcome all of you in SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. I am Assistant Professor Deepak Gavade. Today we are going to learn a topic, writing for print media, from the subject of SYBAMMC Sem 4, writing and editing for media. So let's begin with the topic. See, every day you read different types of newspapers. So you might have a question that what actually news is. So we will try to understand what news is, what are the news values, how to write the news, what are the tips. Means print media covers newspapers as well as magazines. So let's first try to understand what is news. Now there are various definitions of news. So few are given here. Some dictionary defines news as a report of recent events, whatever is happening around us and that is reported in the newspaper, that is called as a news, or a material reported in a newspaper or news periodical or on a newscast, that is called as a news. Whatever material which is published in the newspaper or in the magazine, then a matter that is newsworthy means which is having some news value, so that is called as a news. Now when writing news, the reporters as well as the editors, they have to take a lot of care that what actually my readers wants to read. The first point they should understand whenever they are writing anything. So they should have the questions in their mind, like what is the news here? Then why should my readers care about this news? Or they can ask themselves that what does this mean to them? Why should I write it? How to present it? And what questions will the reader have that I need to answer? This question should be analyzed and answered by the reporter before starting writing for any news. Now there are different types of news we can come across in the various newspapers and magazines. So major types which we found in newspaper and magazines are, first, that is already we know, that is the hard news. Hard news means which is having urgency of publication, which should be published immediately. And the another type, that is soft news. Now what is soft news? This news can wait for publication, which is not that much urgent as hard news is. Then there are some feature stories in news. Feature story is a lengthy story which is written like a story in the magazine. Then some personality profiles are there. It is a story to explore a person in the news or an interesting but not so prominent person. Then fourth one, that is a backgrounder. See, many times we read different news in the newspaper, but we are having that curiosity what actual incident was or what is the additional information behind this news. So backgrounder covers that additional information about that particular incident, about that particular event. So sometimes it is also called as sidebars, and it may accompany a longer news story. So these are the different types of news or the stories found in the newspaper and the magazines. Then we use one word, news values. So what actually news value is? It is nothing but a criteria which enable to determine whether a story makes into news. So there are certain news values, common news values which we can see on the screen here. What are the news values? 9 news values are given here. We will see them one by one. The very first is immediacy, means what is the urgency of publicizing this particular event. Then significance, what is the importance of this particular event or the incident which has happened that can be published in the newspaper. Then proximity or nearness, where that particular incident happened, that is also very important when we consider about news value. Then prominence, who is involved, the people who are involved in that particular event. If suppose any celebrity is inaugurating anything, any exhibition, so that is having the prominence. If any great political leader is involved in any event, so it is having the prominence of that particular person, so that becomes as a news. Then human interest, there are certain stories which are having certain human interest, people or the reader would like to read those stories, those are having news values. Then some negativity, sometimes some negative news, those are also read by the readers. Then conflict, some clashes, the news of the some conflicts, some clashes, some wars, the news are written and the readers read that kind of news and it becomes the news value. Oddity, something strange, if something strange happens, then it becomes a news. And then humor, something different, something humorous, so it is also having news value. So these are some news values. So when we are writing for print media, we have to consider these points when to present it in front of the readers. Then there are certain news qualities. So what is a news quality? A news reporter is imbued many powers. Means what actually the news reporter does. Sometimes the news reporter inform the people what is happened. Sometimes they try to influence the decisions, maybe the decisions taken by the governments, and they try to influence those particular decisions. And sometimes they want to help public to sort out their problems. Sometimes they shape public opinions, among others. So these are the different news qualities which the news writer should adopt and should consider this while writing the news. There are different qualities that a news story should have. The very first quality in a news story is it should be very accurate. Accuracy means whenever you are writing for print media, your language should be accurate. For example, suppose you are writing your news in English language, so you should use accurate English language, correct spellings of English language, the grammatical structure should be correct, means accuracy should be there, so as the readers should understand what you have written. Then the second point is clarity. It should be very clear. The reader should understand what is written. You should write to the point information. Then objectivity. It should be very objective. It should not be subjective, not biased. Whatever facts or the data you have collected, you should present it in that manner only. Then there should be balance and fairness. You should not try to persuade the public's mind. Balance should be there. Fairness, you should write in a fair manner. Should not, your mind as a reporter, your mind should not be biased. Then attribution. You should write clearly the names of the people who were present for that particular event, who were involved in that particular incident. The names should be clearly written so as the reader should understand it clearly. Then the next point, that is style. As a reporter or as a writer, news writer, you should clearly develop your style of writing, because every writer's style is different. And how do we judge the style of the writing of the writer? By the use of words, different types of sentences the writer is using. So you also have to develop your own writing style. So these are some of the qualities of a news story. Then here you can see the inverted pyramid of newspaper, which always the writers of the news, they follow it. So journalists always follow this inverted pyramid. So how we have to write the news? At very top, we have to write very important things. And in lead paragraph, we should write who, what, where, why, how that incident happened, that lead paragraph. Then below that, body is written, means most important, below that important, and below that less important. This should be the structure of writing the news. So in body you have to write the supporting information, then you can give some references of the interviews or the surveys you have done, and then a story that is in detail. There are certain community stories which you can write in depth. So majority reporters, they follow this inverted pyramid, and this is very common thing in journalism. Then what is the lead paragraph? So lead is actually introductory paragraph. It is the opening paragraph of the news story, and maybe sometimes it is one sentence paragraph which summarizes the basic facts of the story and which conveys the reader what the reporter has found, and it should answer certain questions of 5 W's and 1 H. Now what are the 5 W's? Who, what, where, when, why, and then 1 H, that is how. Your lead paragraph should answer these questions if we ask it to the headline which you have written. So this is about lead paragraph. Then every news story should have particular angle. So main idea of that news story is called as the angle of the story. It is the main point that the rest of the story will try to support. So when you are writing, your angle of writing should be very clear. Then you write the body of the story. Now what is the body? The rest part which you are writing in detail, that is called as a body. And a story should proceed in a natural, and it should proceed in a chronological order, and there should be logical sequence of ideas or the logical sequence of thoughts. You should explain in detail in the body of a story. And last but not least, this part of the news story is also important, and that is ending, which wraps up the remaining details of the story. And one way to end is with the kicker. Sometimes you can use certain catchy kickers which majority of the journalists use in their writing. So likewise you can write the story. Now what we have to follow while writing the story? There are certain steps in writing the news story. First of all, you have to list all the facts which you have collected. Note it down that what facts you have collected. Then arrange those facts in the descending order, means from most important to least important. Arrange all the facts. Then always write the lead paragraph, because lead is very important in every news. Then write the remaining paragraphs, highlight the questions which are not answered in the lead paragraph. Then add other details, keep facts, keeping in mind their descending order of importance. Likewise, you have to write the news. Now there are some pointers in writing the news story which we should consider when we are writing for the print media. See, one idea per sentence. As much as possible you should write one idea, one sentence paragraphs. You should write short but sweet. Then limit the sentence length to not more than 25 words in a paragraph. Then you can simplify. As much as simple you write, the reader will easily understand it. Then follow the subject, verb, object format. Okay, you have to follow this format. Then use strong verbs and an active voice. Write most of your sentences in active voice. Then reduce the use of difficult words in writing so as it will become more easier to comprehend for the readers. Then use no more than 3 prepositional phrases per sentence and select precise words. Keep your writing simple. Then we can say don't tell, don't just describe something, reveal a piece of the world to yourself and to your readers, and give your source when necessary, how, from where you have collected this information. Means you should present some evidences, some proofs in your writing. Then identify all persons. When you are writing for the first time the names of the persons, write their full names. Okay, then keep it objective. Stay completely impartial when you are writing anything. Don't use I or me, such kind of prepositions when you are unless you are quoting someone. Have an angle. You should have clear angle of writing and quote people. And then avoid preaching at the end of the story. Then you should be careful about the words which you are using. You should get the meaning from a good dictionary of that particular word. Then read newspapers every day so as you will come to know how the other writers, journalists, they are writing their news. And here are some tips in news gathering. See for yourself, then find the person who knows that particular thing, the fact. Compare all the versions, then get both sides of that particular news incident. Do not give up too easily. You have to collect facts for writing anything for the print media. Then be tactful and courteous all the time. Then make and keep friends so as they can give you the information or the data which you require for writing. Get into print. Research, that is very important aspect when you are writing for print media. You have to research lots of things, collect the data. Then observe proper attribution, collect the names of the people who are involved in that particular incident. So that's it for the writing news. So in this session today we come to know about that what is news, what are the news values, and how we have to write the news. Then different tips we try to understand. I hope you might have understood this session. Thank you all of you for watching.